I'm going to say something which is blindingly obvious to start with, and that is, and if there are head teachers here, I'm sure there are, they will know this as well, that recruitment is obviously very important, but just as important, if not more important, is retention. Retention of good people in the classroom. That's absolutely critical. And if we're going to improve some of the schools in the Midlands, secondary schools in the Midlands and the North that Barry's just referred to, and schools in general, we need to make sure that good people in the classroom stay in the classroom and see teaching as a career. Now, recruitment's obviously an issue, and it's particularly difficult at this time, and it has been so for many years. But retention is even more important. And I know we've got representatives from Teach First here, and I've spoken to Teach First graduates on many, many occasions. And one of the depressing things I hear from them is that they leave university, do their training, go into schools full of vim and vigour and enthusiasm, wanting to do well by children in disadvantaged communities, and are put off by the poor culture in the schools that they're going into, by poor behaviour, and what they see, because these are bright young things, and they're very perceptive people, Teach First, what they see is just poor leadership. And if our schools, and I keep banging on about this, but I will carry on doing it in my time as Chief Inspector, unless we get leadership right, then we will still continue to have problems. And our problems, in the main, reside in the secondary sector, where recruitment and retention is the most difficult, I believe. Secondary schools are not very good, is my view. And if we're going to match the best jurisdictions in the OECD and elsewhere, then we've got to improve our secondary school performance. And we won't get social mobility unless that happens. We know that primary schools, in the main, are doing well. But 1 in 3 secondaries aren't, particularly in the Midlands and the north of England. I think it's a scandal that something like 45% of youngsters don't get their benchmark GCSEs before they can move on to the next stage. That 3/4 of youngsters do not get the EBAC qualification, 3/4, and you know what the government wants for that. And that the 28-point gap between those on free school meals and their peers has not closed in 10 years at secondary level. It's closing in the primary phase, but not at secondary level. The 28% gap. And the Sutton Trust, which is hosting this, issued that groundbreaking and alarming document a few months ago, which said that 7,000 primary school youngsters who do very well in year 6 score in the top 10% at Key Stage 2, so they're getting level 5s and 6s, leave at the end of primary, go on into secondary, and 5 years later are outside the top 25% in terms of 5A star to C grades. What a way! And these were the poorest youngsters, incidentally. I should have mentioned that. The poorest youngsters who were the top performers at Key Stage 2 do badly in the secondary sector 5 years later. And 1/4 of youngsters don't even get a B grade who scored high.